Hey everyone, it's Ethan Ormis back again for another video today, and welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here again for yet another video. Today we're going to be talking about Yeat's newest album, Afterlyfe, which I absolutely am a big fan of. Definitely one of my favorite albums of the year so far, and I'm excited to see how it ages with me, because I love Yeat. I've been a big Yeat fan ever since he started blowing up last year. Was it late 2021? I think that was the first time I had heard of Yeat, was actually late 2021, like October, November-ish. So, yeah, I guess it's been a little over a year, almost a year and a half now since I've been listening to Yeat. And nonetheless, I've really enjoyed his music. Usually, obviously, there's a lot of songs that he releases that are just fine for me, but his highs are so high, in my opinion. So, let's get into this review. Let's talk about Afterlyfe. If you guys are new around here, the way I do my album reviews is I will talk about each song individually, and I'll give you my overall thoughts on how I rate the album, which, spoiler, I guess, I think it's a good album. It might be a great album. I've listened to it twice. I want to give it another listen before I give it a grade, but it might become a great album, in my opinion. But it's definitely a good album, and this might be Yeat's best project. I'm not too sure about that. I want to go back into his discography from last year again to re-listen to those, because I think those ones are the only ones that would actually compete with Afterlyfe. But nonetheless, let's talk about it. So we'll start it off with, of course, the intro track on the album, which is No More Talk, which is pretty dope. I really like this song. It's a slower start to the album, but I quite enjoy it. I really wasn't expecting a slower paced production, but I really enjoy the production nonetheless, and I love the progression through this song as well. Once Yeat picks up his flow and the pace of his flow, the production also starts to speed up with him, which I really like that attention to detail, and I just kind of like that production style a lot. But this is a very awesome first song, and it's a W, and it's one of my favorites from the album for sure. And it kind of sets the tone for what this album is. Yeat is experimenting again on this album, which I'll talk about more later. Sorry, but I really enjoyed that a lot from this project. There's some much different production styles on this as well, and a lot of these songs are slower paced production rather than these fast, heavy trap anthems, which, again, we'll talk about later. But let's talk about track number 2, which is Schmunk. I would have been pretty disappointed if this song was wasn't over a rage beat, because I feel like it's kind of both Yeat and Youngboy's sound, so it just kind of makes sense that it was over a rage beat. But overall, I don't think anything is too crazy, or I don't think anything too crazy about this song. I think Youngboy does outperform Yeat a little bit, but overall, I just think it's a decent song. It hasn't been one that I've been listening to that much, but I don't think it's bad by any means. But let's move on to Better Off. Yeat Bell W. I love the Yeat Bell, of course. I really like Yeat's flow in that second verse, and I quite like this song. This is one that I've been listening to as well. Then moving on to Rave Party. Decent production is literally all I wrote. It's not been a song that's been in my rotation throughout the weekend, but that's alright. Moving on to None I'd Change. Honestly, would have never expected production like this from Yeat, but it's fire, and it's a banger. I really enjoy this song, and again, this is Yeat experimenting with different styles of production, and I really enjoy it. So, moving on to Whoa. Too many flows and too many sounds is starting to become true, which that's a line that Yeat says on the song. Too many flows and too many sounds, which, again, I just think it's becoming true for Yeat's discography, because he is experimenting a lot more than I expected him to, which is really nice in my opinion. But he's experimented a lot through his past 2 albums, and I'm down for that, so shout out Yeat. And overall, not a crazy song, but it's alright. Then moving on to Now, and this might actually be just the flat out worst song from I almost said from Now for some reason, from Yeat that I've ever heard. It is absolutely fucking horrible. It's so bad. That song alone brings this album down like 10 points for me in my ranking, because it is fucking brutal. It's literally just sounds the whole song. I know a lot of people would argue that's just what Yeat's music is, but no, that song is so fucking bad. Anyways, moving on to Slam. I think a decent song, but overall, nothing too crazy. Then moving on to 7 Nights. Again, a decent song, but nothing too crazy. Moving on to Mean Fiend, a W production, but overall a decent song. But I do enjoy this song a little bit more. I like the production a lot more than the past couple tracks before that. So there's a 5-song run here that I really, really enjoy. So from Mean Fiend to Split, really, really great 5-track run in my opinion. So moving on to How It Go, of course, this is probably going to be the most popular song on the album, at least at the start of this album, because this was one of the most popular unreleased Yeat songs, and I'm really glad that it was released because it was one of my favorite unreleased Yeat songs. I was hoping that Art Up would be on this album, and Never Changed would be on this album, but unfortunately neither of those were, but hopefully we'll get them in the future. Nonetheless, of course, How It Go is fantastic. I really, really love that song, and of course, it's the most popular song on the album right now. I'm so glad that the AI Ben isn't in this as well, because that was a big meme on TikTok a while ago, and I'm so glad that's not in that, because the Ben is just so annoying. But anyways, some to do. Love the fast flows on this song, and I love the chorus. Really, really great song. Moving on to Backup, a good song, and I enjoy with crazy drums. It sounds insane in my car with the subs. Crazy, crazy drums. And then Split. Honestly, this might be my favorite song from the album. Yeat fucking snaps on this song, bro. He is literally just spitting. Like, it's insane. He's just going off in this song. And then, unfortunately, the rest of the album is all just kind of a little bit lower for me. It's songs that I'm not a big fan of as much. But again, that 5-song run from Mean Fiend to Split is fantastic. But after that, the last, I think, 7 songs? Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sorry, the last 8 songs, not that great, but let's talk about them. So, moving on to Bad Ben / Demon, a decent song. Overall, nothing too crazy. I'm not a big fan of it. On to Heavyweight. I love the awoo at the start and the beat drop, but apart from that, I just wasn't a big fan of the song. I just really liked the start of it. I thought it was funny, and I liked that beat drop where it progressed into the beat drop, but apart from that, wasn't a big fan of that song. Then moving on to Watch, Whispering Yeat is a W. Whispering Yeat is not something I thought I'd need, but it's pretty good, and I quite enjoy it. This is a song that I think I would get sick of, though, pretty quickly, unfortunately, but that's alright. Then moving on to Shh, a decent song, nothing too crazy again here. On to Back Home, very vibey production and song. This is another song on this album that Yeat is really, really experimenting, I feel. Like, this production is super vibey. And this is kind of like a late night drives kind of production, which again, I just wouldn't expect from Yeat, to be honest. But overall, I really enjoy that song as well, to be fair. Then moving on to Type Money, a decent song with some shocking piano. I wasn't expecting a piano beat on a Yeat album, so again, experimenting with different styles of production, which I'm very happy for Yeat, or happy about Yeat doing, I should say. Then moving on to Demon Tide. I've seen a lot of people really enjoy this song. I think it's a decent song. I don't think it's that good, in my opinion. But moving on to the outro to the album, which is Myself. Another very vibey song. Another very vibey song, but it's good. The outro to the album is similar to the intro of the album, where it kind of reflects that slower pace production, where it's not as just heavy trap rage beats, which is again, we'll talk about more that momentarily. But yeah, I like this project if you're looking at the intro and the outro, they really reflect on what this project kind of brings, or what Yeat brings to this project. The slower pace rapping for the most part, and the slower pace production for the most part. Obviously not every track, but yeah, again, shout out to Yeat for using a different sound on this song and throughout this album. So overall, my favorite thing about this album, to be honest, is probably the album cover. It is so hard. I love it so much. It looks fantastic. I just think it's so dope. But yeah, so about this album, I quite enjoy this album, and again, I think it is a good album. It's almost a great album, but I want to give it another listen before I deem it so. But nonetheless, I think this is very similar to a Yeat on Life, where Life is Yeat experimenting with different sounds, different styles of production, different paces of rapping, and I feel like he dives into that tenfold into this album. He has so many different unique flows, whether it's slower rapping, whispering, over a piano beat he's rapping, or on Split where he's just absolutely spitting for like 20 seconds straight. Like he is like just intense spitting. So really, really different styles of flow on here. And again, Yeat experimenting a lot, which is really, really nice. Again, I really, really enjoyed that part about this album. I was kind of expecting something like Two Alive and Life, where I was just more, heavy trap anthems, but that's not entirely what we got. We did get some of that, but we got a lot more unique styles from Yeat as well. So overall, I'm glad that Yeat's not sticking to just a one-dimensional sound with no progression, or no face, I guess, really, where it's not just one style of production, one style of rapping. Yeat truly does have a lot of talent, I think, and I know a lot of people clown Yeat for the way he raps, what he's saying, so many such a made up vocabulary, but he is bringing a completely different sound to the rap game, and that is something you cannot deny. Overall, again, I feel like he's just showing that he can be diverse, and depending on any production, I feel like he showcases this a lot throughout this album, where there's a lot of different styles of production that he really fits on anything on this album, and I feel like he can honestly make an argument for being on any sort of production. So this album isn't full of absolute crazy trap bangers with rage synth and heavy drums. You do get some of that, but it's not the main focus of the album. And again, I'm just shout out to Yeat for some diversity and for some experimenting. I just think that's a good thing for any artist to do, right? So let's see. One thing that I love about Yeat is, again, from every project that I've listened to of Yeat, is how he's willing to create a new sound for each project, to be honest. I feel like each one of his projects has a different sound, and some people may not agree with that, but I truly believe that. Anyways, every song on this album I think is listenable. The ones that I've been listening to the most is No More Talk, the intro, Better Off, None I Change, Mean Fiend, How It Go, Some To Do, Back Up, and Split. And literally the only song on this album that is just flat out a skip and is absolutely horrible is Now. Everything else, in my opinion, is listenable to great. So yeah, very, very happy with this album overall. So let me know your guys' thoughts on this on this album. I'm intrigued to know. Seems like a lot of people are enjoying this, to be fair. So thank you guys all so much for watching. Hopefully you did enjoy, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.